And it looks like we are live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the live chat tonight. We're going to check to make sure everything is working properly. Looks like it is. Let's see here. Make sure Facebook is. There we go. Looks like there it is. Okay, good deal. Just want to make sure that everything's showing up into the live chat here. Just in a second. And there it is. Okay, good. So we're live. It's that time of year where we have baseball games on, especially Met games on while we're doing a live chat and keeping an eye on it. It's extra innings. Pete Alonso has been saving the day for the Mets and pretty much having almost all the hits. And right now it is 6-5 Mets in the bottom 11th. We'll see if they can close it out or if I'm going to be severely disappointed. So we'll see. So tonight we have a couple of things that we're going to have a chance to discuss. One thing is for sure, we have a lot of severe weather developing over the Mississippi River Valley. We're going to talk about the pattern evolution that we're seeing right now. First thing though, I want to share with you the book of the week, Mesoscale Meteorology and Forecasting. This book, written and edited by Peter S. Ray, is a key book for anybody who's studying meteorology and going to college for meteorology, or just has a very in-depth interest in severe thunderstorms and convective weather. This book, which I got back in, I want to say my sophomore year, was a key book in helping me understand things like slantwise convection in winter storms, tornado development, severe thunderstorm development, has all the great equations. Now, this book is a little bit more advanced. So I wouldn't get this if you are in high school. You could get it, I mean, as a gift because you're going to have to get it for college. So it's a good gift to have, save you some money when you're having to buy books. But the equations in here are a little bit advanced, a little bit tough, but overall it's well worthwhile. There's a lot of text in here too. Everything about like how to use Doppler radar properly, the structures of mesoscale lows, all that stuff. How to use satellite data. So this is a great book to use. I don't mess it up. There it is. You can find this book on at the American Meteorological Society. You can order it, and like I said, it is a great book. Right now, runners are first and second with nobody out for the Marlins. Not looking good, guys. Come on, let's step it up. We'll see what happens. Um, but it doesn't surprise me. Marlins are always a pain in the neck. So let's talk about our weather pattern. And of course, as always, after I get done with my spiel, I will take all of your questions. We'll see how active we are tonight. Again, for those of you who've been here for the past couple of years, the spring, even with severe weather, it starts to back off a bit. So if you have questions about anything, now's the time to ask them because you'll definitely get the answer because you're here and it's just me. That's it. So let's take a look here. All right. So first, I want to start off with the overall pattern. And one thing I want to point out here is that we are in the process of going from a negative NAO to a positive NAO for a short period of time and then back towards a negative NAO. This is a very strong signal for a significant East Coast cyclogenesis. Now, basically, a low pressure system somewhere on the East Coast. Not necessarily a coastal low, but possibly one that's in the Ohio River Valley or around Virginia or over the Appalachians. But the key point here is that, hey, if there's going to be storm development, it is going to be during this time period between April 9th, well, let's say April 8th through April 12th. Okay, somewhere in that ballpark here. And we're starting to see a lot of models pick that up. Now, why am I sharing this with you? Okay. The reason why I want to share this with you is because this is a great example of how to use statistical analysis to pick out a time period for a storm. Not necessarily the impacts or how much somebody's going to get, but just get an understanding okay, if model guidance starts to produce a significant winter storm around the region or a significant rainstorm, this makes sense because statistically speaking, these transition in our weather pattern would support such a storm. So as I'm watching this, we're seeing in the medium range and long range model guidance, let's say about from day 7 to day 10, some pretty good support here for below normal heights on the East Coast. Some nice little blocking here showing up here. Not your traditional negative NAL, but it is spring, so it's not a surprise. The European ensembles is showing that. The European operational is showing that. So you see the support here. And typically, what this type of signal supports is a pretty good rainstorm for the northern Mid Atlantic and Mid Atlantic in general. So it doesn't surprise me that the models are starting to pull this. Now, when you have this type of 500 millibar pattern, you get a pretty strong fetch from two moisture sources, usually from the Canadian Maritimes and the northwestern Atlantic and around the Caribbean. And so when you have those two combinations, you can really push your precipitable water values up. And so what that leads to is easily a 1 to 2 to 3 inch type rainfall event. So our first potential for widespread heavy rainfall and flash flooding looks like it's going to be setting up sometime around the weekend of April 12th. So, unfortunately, it does not look pretty. Let me see if I can find. Yeah. So, here is what that is looking like on the model guidance here. And you can see this is a reasonable solution here. Okay. Now, again, don't focus on the exact rainfall amounts. Don't focus on where they're showing up to be the heaviest. Just focus on the fact that the overall theme here is pretty supportive for that heavy rainfall event. So if you're concerned about any type of flash flooding events, we're looking somewhere around April 10th through the 13th, somewhere in that ballpark, where we could be dealing with that. So prepare accordingly. Taking a look at the current observations right now, we actually had some moderate rainfall blow through the region right before we went on the air. And oh, hold it, the Mets. We're out to 2 outs, got 1 out to go for the win. Huge, huge. Okay, so we have this southeasterly wind that is in place right now. What's happening is at the mid levels, we're getting this warm air transport. So you have this moderate to heavy rainfall showing up here that's passing through. See on the radar here, a lot of this is driven by warm air transport coming in from the Ohio River Valley and then pushing its way through the northern Mid Atlantic. That is moving over a stable maritime air mass that has plenty of moisture. So this is going to lead to warmer low temperatures, plenty of increase in cloud cover. We got a lot of overcast cloud cover already set up, and just a very damp, kind of raw weather pattern starting to evolve. You can see on the visible satellite picture, as the sun was setting, plenty of low clouds. Let's see if we can get a new image here. Here we go. So you can see plenty of low clouds around, not much in the way of any breaks expected for tonight. Now, you can see off to our west a lot of trouble building here. Now, we don't have any concern of this reaching our neck of the woods. I want to make that very, very clear, especially with our maritime air mass and a lot of stability hanging around the region, which is why it's so difficult to pull off a severe thunderstorm. But you could see in this setup just how perfect the alignment is. I mean, you have this strong trough coming in, you have plenty of moisture transport coming in from the Gulf, so you have your clashes of air masses. You can see on the radar here, just not only severe thunderstorms, but we're talking about a plethora of tornadoes all up and down from southwest Arkansas all the way up into uh, Indiana and Illinois. And why is that the case? I'll take a look at our upper level winds here. Perfect divergence and diffluence right where all that is setting up. So the upper level winds are supporting rapid rising air over these regions, which is helping to enhance the building of these thunderstorms. It's allowing for the atmosphere to turn in a cyclonic circulation. So you basically maximize the development of all these mesoscale low pressure systems that are developing in the base of these thunderstorms. And the Mets won. That's awesome. And that evolution leads to an enhancement of these thunderstorms and an increase of tornadic thunderstorms. And this is just perfect divergence and diffluence over the region. I mean, it's literally textbook. When you have this set up over the Mississippi River Valley, the plains, Tennessee River Valley, southeast, the Gulf Coast, expect a very stormy night. And that is essentially what we are seeing right now. And I mean, it shows up even better here on the water vapor satellite picture. Look at all that lifting, that rising, that ascent. Again, here's their subtropical jet stream. Here's your polar jet stream. Here's the polar shortwave interacting, driving the colder air in. Just a very nasty scenario. Now, just so you guys know, the reason why I don't do live videos on these type of events is because I believe, and again, I might be standing alone on this, but I believe that with so many people, so many meteorologists doing such an amazing job in those regions, that adding another voice just leads to a lot of clutter. Sometimes it's okay to step back and say, you know what, I'm going to let someone else handle this. So when this occurs, when we have this type of severe weather taking place in the Tennessee River Valley, Mississippi River Valley, so on and so forth, I tend to back off and not do any type of live coverage on it, mostly because A, I'm focused on the Northern Mid-Atlantic, and B, it's okay to let other people shine and let other people take the reins and step up. So it's really good. I like to share individuals who are doing an outstanding job with that, and we're seeing that tonight on X and other locations. So hat tip to them. They're doing a great job. So let's take a look at our pattern over the next 90 hours. And heck, we'll go through the whole weekend here. This weather pattern is one that features a lot of fluctuation. If you like 70s, you're going to get it. If you like 40s and 50s and raw weather conditions in a nice coffee house, you're going to get it. You're going to get everything. Unfortunately, every other day, you're going to get it flipped. So you never know what to wear unless you follow a meteorologist like me. And it's really, really difficult not to get a cold in this type of weather because, it's warm one day, summer like almost, and then chilly the next. And it just messes with people's immune system. So for tonight, we have that ridge axis passing over. So it suppressed a lot of the rainfall, but we had one mid-level shortwave just strong enough to produce a band of moderate rainfall. The key setup starts to show up on tomorrow evening with this shortwave here that is currently enhancing the severe weather event passing through the St. Lawrence River Valley. That forces our frontal boundary to basically push northward and install. And that leads to frontogenesis developing and the enhancement of moisture transport. Note the 500 millibar pattern has the ridge axis just off the coast and your moisture transport. Let's go check out the other levels in the atmosphere. At the mid levels, you have a stronger moisture transport. The ridge is further off the coast. And what that leads to is a stronger moisture transport. This is called integrated vapor transport. This is really fun to use. I like to use it in the winter sometimes when we have a really dynamic winter storm. Unfortunately, we really didn't have a chance to use that this year. But what this kind of shows me is the source regions and how that's interacting with the storm. And when you have this type of scenario set up where it's coming out of the Caribbean and shooting right up the mid-Atlantic coast, whenever you see that, expect some moderate to heavy rainfall events, possibly some flash flooding events. And we see that not only on tomorrow evening into Friday morning, but also again on Saturday evening through Sunday and Sunday night into Monday morning. So this means that we're going to have some periods here we're going to see some rainfall. The good news is that notice the moisture transport on Friday afternoon, if you happen to be going to the Mets game, home opener, is pushing that moisture transport south. So that's certainly some good news if you're heading out, to get to that game. Now, for tomorrow evening into Friday morning, there's our frontogenesis. We get a break Friday afternoon through early Saturday morning with this ridge axis. And then here we go again, Saturday and Sunday, waves of showers, Sunday night, showers and thunderstorms. And we get a break for early next week with a lot of passing short waves and more isolated showers overall, but not the widespread rainfall we're going to be dealing with. What that generally leads to is our precipitable water values getting enhanced. So, again, for tomorrow evening, that enhancement's pushing us over 1.5 inches, so it's going to open up the potential for heavy downpours. So keep your umbrella handy for Thursday evening into early Friday morning. Then that dry air transport pushes south and allows for some clearing just in time for Friday afternoon and evening. And then again for the weekend, it rebounds with more moisture, more potential for rainfall. And then here is our setup for Sunday. And I would not be surprised if we get some stronger thunderstorms. I'm not seeing severe thunderstorms in this setup, at least not widespread. Maybe an isolated one with some downburst winds. I know just it's going to be very similar to what we were dealing with a couple of days ago. Now, I know that there was a tornado warning issued for Monmouth County, but there was no signal whatsoever of any type of damage. So how do we handle this? I'm glad you asked. Well, I asked myself. So I asked myself a lot of questions. What can I say? Um, when we deal with better technology that we have, picking up this circulation, I am never going to say the National Weather Service should not warn when they feel that it's warranted. Okay, you're talking about saving lives. It's better to have a false positive than to miss a tornado. Um, But one thing we have to consider, possibly, as our resolution with our radar data becomes better and better, is that perhaps there should be maybe a time limit on or a time measure or standard before we put out a warning to establish that the circulation continues, or if it's just kind of forms really fast and then collapses. Because one of the things that we have to wonder and we have to consider with such a high moisture environment that we have here is that you're going to get a lot of little spin ups, a lot of little mesoscale loads developing in this convection. And we might be at the point where our technology is seeing that evolution. And so we're kind of jumping the gun in terms of considering this to be a mesoscale load that forms a tornado and thus the warning. Because we still have to work that out, I get what the National Weather Service is doing. It makes perfect sense. It's better to warn something and it fails than to not warn something and people interact with a tornado without any warning. So I'd say still rock on. I would, if I was in their position, I'd probably put out the warning, but it's something that we should probably think about as an industry and as a community as a whole to see whether or not that becomes more and more of a factor, whether we see more false positives, and how to address that to reduce that. So that way the public trusts those warnings more and more. In terms of temperatures, we're going to be on a roller coaster. First, we'll start 850 millibars. We warm up tomorrow, and we cool down for Friday. Then we warm up for Saturday, and here we are on Sunday. Understand, though, that with this rising and falling, right? You're still dealing with a maritime air mass at the surface. So not everyone's going to see those warm temperatures. So let's see what that looks like at the surface. So tomorrow we warm up, we're in the 70s, more instability, a few isolated thunderstorms mixed into some of the rainfall in the evening. Then we fall back on Friday afternoon, where we have a little bit more of a maritime air mass, a little bit chillier, temperatures in the 60s, but hey, not too bad. Then on Saturday, the maritime air mass really builds in, and take a look at that. We're in the 40s and 50s once again. Now, this is raw. This on Saturday, you're gonna have an easterly wind, drizzle, overcast cloud cover, showers, and then on Sunday, we warm right back up again, right back into the 60s and 70s, maybe even a few lower 80s down towards the Delmarva, maybe even southwestern New Jersey. The Around Long Island, we're in the upper 50s to lower 60s with that wind coming off the southwest, coming off the Atlantic. But you kind of get the idea here. We're just kind of on this roller coaster And that just continues on all the way into next week. And we're going to be dealing with that all the way on through at least the middle of April, if not 2/3 of April. So what that typically leads to in terms of rainfall potential, we have, again, that rainfall moved through today. Tomorrow, we start off with a few widely scattered showers, more widespread showers and thunderstorms in the evening. Friday, kind of a raw day starting off, followed by clearing skies towards the afternoon. So if you're heading out to the Mets game, you should be fine. And then Saturday is going to be raw, cloudy, drizzly periods of showers. And then Sunday, more showers and thunderstorms later on in the afternoon and evening. So a very active weather pattern, and one that is going to keep us on our toes. And you can see beyond 90 hours, it just continues to be one where we're going to have several threats for showers, and then more of a widespread rainfall event that we'll watch out for around April 12th. So that is pretty much the analysis I have for today. So now I'm going to take your questions, and as always, to start off, I will answer everybody's questions, and once we are finished, hey, we might end early, we might go late. It's up to you. But one thing is for sure, if you like wet weather, you're going to like this month. So let's dive into the questions. And of course, all questions are answered in the premium chat, in the public chat, should I say, in the social media, YouTube, Facebook, whatnot. I'll take the best ones. So let's see here. A card shark is watching the Knicks. I think, are they doing good this year? I think they're doing good. I am not a basketball fan, but the Rangers too. Susan, you used to like hockey, right? Like what was it? The Devils? The Devils. See? Okay. I respect that. I respect it. I tried to get into hockey. I enjoyed the Fox one where I could watch the puck because it was in red. So I was like a cat, like watching it. Meow. Like look at it. There it goes. It's going over there. But I've always been just a baseball and football guy. But I tried to get into basketball. I just couldn't. Finally getting some regular rain, so needed, absolutely. Are you buying the marginal risk for New York City tomorrow? Uh, extremely marginal. I can't rule it out because you're going to have some instability in place. I don't like the upper level winds. I think we have a lot of straight line winds, and they're rather weak compared to what we're going to be setting up to the southwest of us. I can't rule out an isolated thunderstorm popping off. I'd be very surprised of a severe thunderstorm other than some sort of downburst wind gust type scenario where you have a lot of that deep moisture interacts with a dry pocket, slams down towards the surface. So that can certainly play out. So I get why they did it, but the key word there is going to be isolated. Very amplified jet at 250 millibars. Yeah, it's impressive. And this all plays into what we've been talking about for weeks in terms of the changing stratospheric environment with the destruction of the polar vortex and the real muddled indications and enforcing parameters in the tropics. We really don't have an El Nino or La Nina. Our SOI is performing more like a La Nina, so that's why we're seeing some pretty good robust ridges along the East Coast over the past couple of weeks. I am not surprised we're seeing a lot of severe weather because while we're getting somewhat of a La Nina signal in terms of the pattern organization, we are getting some of the influence of that warmer water and an El Nino like influence in terms of the enhancement of the short waves and the strength of the subtropical jet stream. So you're kind of getting a muddled version of everything and mixing it all together, and that's leading to some dynamic severe thunderstorms. I said back in February, I was saying that, hey, look, watch out for a lot of severe weather in the central and southern plains and in the Mississippi River Valley. And that is exactly what is happening because those short waves in the subtropical jet stream are much stronger. The Yankees are on TV unless you have Amazon or Apple, I guess, as not on yet. Really, they're on Amazon tonight? That's crazy. Oh man, I'm never going to be feeling too sorry for Yankee fans, but that is a rough situation. I hate it when they're on app when the Mets are on Apple TV. I'm just like, yeah, but Amazon. It sounds like the Yankees are always on Amazon. Like it's almost like every Thursday or something. I don't know. I don't get it. Oh boy. I mean, that works for us because we have Amazon. But if you don't, I mean, how many apps are you supposed to get to watch sports? Is Now this is what I wish. Look, MLB and NFL. Just do this. Say, here's our streaming network. Pay us for it. Fine, go for it. I do not need to go to 10 different apps to watch your product. It's ridiculous. It's like if I made a weather website and I said for every feature that you want to go learn about, you have to go to a different website. Who's going to want to click around for that? That's ridiculous. Latest thoughts on ESNO through the rest of spring. I think it goes gradually towards a warm neutral state. I don't think we ever lock into an actual ENSO state. I think that we have La Nina influences lingering through early May, and then late May we'll start to see more of a El Nino type influences, but not pure El Nino, just kind of hints of it, kind of a ghost of it. Let's see what we got on YouTube here. Let's see. Environment looks a tad spicy in southern Pennsylvania tomorrow. I think we can get a decent storm. South Central, I think that you have a pretty good shot. I'm not convinced of Southeastern, but I do like South Central. So let's see here. I'll give you some examples. Let's see. York would be good. Let's see here. Altoona, probably a good location to watch out for. Let's see, another one. Probably, yeah, Fort Indian Gap might be working. Harrisburg, you might see a couple of good spicy storms. I think basically South Central is really your spot that you want to go around here. Join you on YouTube, just like and support. Love everything you do. I really appreciate that, DJC and HBG. Can't read tonight. I'm bad. You know what it is? It's late in the day. I haven't had coffee, and I was all amped up with the Mets game, so I'm like all like ah. Let's see here. Can Long Island have thunderstorms tomorrow? Mm. Not your season yet. Okay, so for you guys on Long Island, your big problem with thunderstorms in the spring is the Atlantic Ocean. Because the air, usually when you have a southerly flow, which sets up your severe weather events for much of the region, or a southwesterly flow, you are taking the air coming right off the Atlantic, which is a stable marine air mass. Once you get to usually mid May, unless you have some really unique scenarios setting up. Like, let's say you had very strong warm air transport that even overwhelmed the Atlantic influence. So, let's say Philadelphia is 85 and you're like 78, right? And then you had a very powerful cold front. You could pull off something, but that really isn't the scenario here. But typically, what you want to do is wait till late spring where the dynamics between the Atlantic Ocean and Long Island are slightly reduced. And in fact, in some cases, you can start to get sea breeze fronts, which produces thunderstorms on their own. So you got a little bit of time to wait for your season. Um, let's see here. Where would I go live for thunderstorm risk in the Northeast? Oh, when would you go live? Oh, I'm doing good. When would I go live? Okay, so usually when I see when let's say the SPC puts out a high risk for us, I'd probably do a live coverage for that. Um, it's hard to always be available for some of these smaller isolated risks. It's really hard to pull that off. because I got to sleep at some point, guys. I mean, I'm up at 4 a.m. and I just keep going. I got to sleep at some point. I used to be able to just go all night at like 20, but you'll find some of you guys, younger guys, will find that once you hit, I'd say 38, I started feeling it, right? Where I just couldn't pull it off as well. And then 40, I started getting really bad headaches. And 45, my body is like, I will kill you if you try to do this again. So it doesn't work. Yeah, it just trust me, guys. It doesn't work. And I'm like, I'm in bed for like the next 2 days afterward. It's the same thing as one of my friends who drinks alcohol. I don't, but he's like, when I was in my 20s, I could take a shot. It didn't bother me. Now I take a shot and I literally feel like I got shot. And I'm like, okay. So there you go. That's the difference. But when there's actual widespread severe event, then I'm planning on doing live coverage and try to do the best I can for that. Which is why we have a generator, so that we would protect ourselves. Backdoor cold fronts can have more impressive temperature drops than a traditional west-east front. Saturday night, the temperature dropped 20 degrees in a matter of minutes. First of all, Saturday was a very unique scenario for a backdoor cold front. You usually don't see like a 40-degree drop in an hour. So that was incredibly impressive. The only reason why we didn't see showers and thunderstorms off of that was that because we had a ridge over us at 500 millibars, creating suppression and killing off the precipitation event. But yeah, I mean, those fronts could definitely, especially this time of year, you got a tropical air mass surging northward and you have the maritime air mass pushing south. You could easily end up with very impressive gradients out of that. Anything on Facebook or X? Nothing on X. X is not going to give it to me. I am going to continue to use 90 rap signals about X until they change their name because you have Exhibit and you have yeah. Oh, come on. Maybe. I don't know. Nothing? All right. Well, let's see what we got. Are we moving towards summer? As we move towards summer, will you do your ozone level pockets analysis each week as part of the solar update or separately? Yeah, I will be adding that as we get more information on that. Right now, there's a little bit of missing information. I don't know why. I know some people are going to jump to the whole Dodge thing, but this has been an issue well before that. So hopefully I find a new data source. But I do plan on doing that because by tracking the ozone evolution, we can also track the potential development of heat waves. So I have a little theory here. It's untested, but that's the fun part about being an operational meteorologist is that you can have a theory and then test it with real live scenarios, not just model data or model simulations. So, I mean, I love it. Sometimes I'm wrong, sometimes I'm right. So we'll see. But my idea is that as we start to get ozone pockets build, we could start to get an idea of the theme of where these heat waves grow and expand and where their origins are from. And by defining where the origins from, where the source regions are, then we can define whether or not we're dealing with a dry heat throughout the summer or a tropical moisture filled heat, which is something you really don't start to really get an inkling on until really early June. So I'll be playing with it. Don't worry. I'm certainly looking for new data on that, so I definitely plan on doing that. Let's see here. I think that's everything here. Did anyone else got any other questions? I saw that. Okay. You know, Facebook is being Facebook. Oh, okay. Let's see what we got here. But I'm just telling you that we had some lightning in Long Island Monday night is rare. Lightning itself is not that rare. I mean, especially you could have, see, here's the thing with lightning. Okay. You could have a thunderstorm that is well to your northwest, but you still see the lightning. In fact, that's why lightning is a threat and why you should not play golf whenever you hear thunder, because the cloud producing the lightning may be far off, but the arch can hit you, right? So you could have a thunderstorm, let's say, passing through Connecticut, and then you're getting that flash of lightning that you're seeing that you think is with associated with the cloud that you saw it with, but in reality, it's with the thunderstorm that's further to your north and west. But certainly, you could have had a thunderstorm that was moving through Long Island, that was elevated, that was losing its severe capabilities, that was rising in the atmosphere, but still producing some convective charge and thus some lightning that you saw. Let's see. Hi, Steve. Oh, here we got from Donald Dodd. Hi, Steve. I appreciate all the accurate weather analysis. I try. Look, I'm just going to say this. I've been on a roll. Honestly, I've been on a roll. So I kind of compare it to like being as a baseball player, where you get on a roll and you're hitting 400, and then you hit like a skid. So I try to reduce the number of skids where I'm not doing so well to only a few days. So that way I have longer periods of doing well. But I appreciate it. I live in Northeast New Jersey and feel like we are seeing more strong windstorms than we have in the past. Are there any current weather patterns that would support my anecdotal observations? Thanks. Well, part of what you're seeing is that we're seeing a lot more storms passing to our northwest this spring and the past spring. And when you have storm tracks to your northwest, you get a combination of strong warm air transport and cold air transport. So you're getting a lot of mixing of the winds. And when you're getting a lot of mixing in the atmosphere, mixing down those mid level winds, combine that with stronger pressure gradient from these low pressure systems to the north of us, that's leading to more windy conditions. Also, the amplification of the polar jet stream, you're going to see more enhancement of surface low pressure systems and thus the stronger wind potential. So that is most likely what you are seeing. Do we have any other questions? Yes. One on X. X is going to give it to me.
Oh, stop.
I'm going to drive her nuts. I know. Okay, so any recommendations for an entry level book versus that versus the more advanced one you shared earlier? Oh yeah. With, oh yeah, the guide one. Yeah. Okay, this is cool. Okay. All right. This is a really starter book, but it helps a lot with like cloud, studying clouds. National. Oh, I'm gonna screw up this word. Audubon Society Field Guide to North American Weather. Right here.
And I know that they like Barnes and Noble, you can pick them up.
Yeah. Barnes and Noble, Amazon, you can find all of that on here.
All kinds of things.
Yeah. But this is a nice little book. It goes over very basic stuff, very basic setup of like the Earth's atmosphere. Um, I would call it a middle school to high school Earth science book. You know, just like your intro stuff, understanding of the basic themes, the basic seasons, how condensation works, the water cycle. That's a great. That's great. I mean, the different cloud types.
It's also one of those things that you could always reference back to.
Yeah, and they have great pictures here of the different clouds, so you can learn what they look like. Um, See, here's thunderstorms. So I'm just going to put this up here. There you go. Okay. And there we go. So it's pretty cool stuff. Great question. We'll try to find more books that are more entry level as well. I'm just kind of going through my library, and every day I'm just kind of picking up something and saying, okay, let's do this one. But I will be more mindful of some more entry level stuff moving forward. NASCAR and I believe IndyCar use an 8-minute radius as distance for lightning strikes, where anything at or inside the radius results in them stopping everything for 30 minutes. That's smart. They didn't have that. That's something that's been relatively new. Um, I know they're getting better at that with golf. Baseball, they're starting to get better at that. Um, Sometimes they try to be cute and wait things out rather than just calling the game. But no, let's start the game at like 11 p.m. And football needs to do a better job because a lot of it is preventable. But they're especially the high school and the college football. Let's see. Do we have anything else? I think that's pretty much okay. Let's take a look at YouTube. See what we got here. Um, yeah, X gonna give it to you. X. Yes. Well, and look, I'm sorry, but like I'm a '90s kid, so I grew up in the '80s and '90s. So
Teenagers in the 90s.
what did I say? Where are we? We're generation.
We're the end of Gen X.
We're Gen X. We're a crazy bunch. Uh, as as of now, the Northeast see above average severe weather season. Uh, mm, above average severe season. It depends on the region. Like, okay, if if you're talking about Philadelphia, there's a chance. New York City, not so much. They want the name of the book again? Okay, I'll try it again. Oh, Susan, go and get it. I'm just gonna keep it here until the end, just in case. Okay, so we're gonna push it here.
I'll go type it into the chat.
Yeah, type it into the chat. There you go. Ah, there you go. I almost tried. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I broke my finger. It's gone.
I'll fix it later.
Yeah. So let's see here. What else do we got here? It started after the spectator was killed at Pocono by a lightning strike. Yeah, that's what usually causes a change. Someone's got to die, unfortunately. God forbid you listen to the scientists. No, let's wait until Gamera shows up and eats a couple of people. Then we stop dropping toxic waste into the pool where all the turtles are. I mean, that makes sense. Um, what can I say? Unfortunately, that's the way the world works. Talking about that, I heard that there's a new Godzilla movie getting ready to come out, which, I think that Disney should learn from Toho and not make bad movies. I'm just going to put that out there. Let's see here. It looks like we got all. Do we have anything else? Yep, okay. I'm holding on. Let's see. YouTube's good.
So it's a hindrance here.
Oh. So overall, I think that we got a lot of the questions done. I have to say, a lot of great questions from you guys. Will the stationary front stall out this weekend and bring more needed? That front is going to be wavering. See, here's the thing with this weekend's forecast: the confidence is low. Okay, mostly because that frontal boundary is going to be wavering north and south. I would not be surprised if we get a few waves of low pressure in here, creating a lot of havoc with the forecast. I would not be surprised on Sunday if Philadelphia is 80 and New York City is 45. I would not be surprised by that. The way that the weather pattern is setting up. So my suggestion is that for the weekend, if you have outdoor plans, have backup plans. Okay, 'cause I am not guaranteeing a good forecast for this weekend because every model, I've been kind of consistent, but the models from run to run are placing that frontal boundary in different areas on different models. So what that tells me is that we're going to have a wavering front, and it's going to give me a headache trying to figure out and trying to be perfect with it. So I'm not. So just be prepared for a wide 40 degree temperature range, variable cloud cover, and there we go. Facebook is being evil again.
Always. I have a hate relationship with Facebook.
Let's see. TriStar already did the non-Godzilla movie with the Abomination from the late 90s. Oh, I know about it. I'll give you a story. How much of a Godzilla fan am I? I decided to go work at a movie theater for the sole purpose of trying to see the Godzilla movie ahead of everyone else. Yes, the Matthew Broderick one. And I was so disappointed in that movie when I saw it while they were doing a test run of the movie to make sure that the reels are working properly and all that stuff. So I was there watching it. I was so disappointed that I literally quit the next day. I was like, "There's no point for me working here anymore. The Godzilla movie's horrible. I'm out." So that was an abomination. I do have a Gamera though. That is true. I do have Gameras. I do like the Gamera movies. Kind of. Like, I had to be in the right mood. Same thing with the late 70s Godzilla movies. They were just kind of corny, but I get it. Let's see here. I think that's everything. What do you think, honey? Yep, yep. I'm checked out YouTube. Everything's done there.
So yeah, that's something that they should try.
Yeah, I just saw that.
Please stop
If that's not a tough question to ask,
doing that.
oh, okay. Well, then I can't answer it. There we go. I do have to say, this hat looks really good on me. You know why it looks good? Because it has longevity. Well, that too. Well, at least you think so, but that's the most important thing. The reason why this hat is amazing is that this hat I got when I was 8 years old. You see, this comes from the days where you could actually adjust your hat like this. Not all this silly stuff where you or I'll answer the question in a moment. Where you get these fitted hats, which is idiotic because then you can't grow with it. This hat I've had since I was 8. It has seen many, many horror shows. And so I'm looking forward to a lot more winning, which they did today. So we got that going for us.
Question is repeated.
Okay, what do we got here? I kept on asking if the lightning really strikes at the same place twice. There's no real statistical analysis on it. Typically not.
Can it hit the same tree?
Could it hit the same tree? Absolutely.
The
Sure.
same place.
Yeah, I mean that's hard to no one ever really tried to do a statistical analysis on it, but
Okay, I'm putting this thing back. I put it in
okay.
the chat.
I think that's enough. Yeah. The early 90s Godzilla movies were fun. Yeah, they were really well made. They really were. They were really great. One of my favorites is Godzilla versus Mothra from 1993. That is a great one. Okay. So it looks like we answered all the questions. We got our Mets win. We talked about Godzilla and Gamera. I think we covered pretty much everything here. So for tonight, I am going to end it and I'm going to go and relax and get ready for bed. But I want to thank you all for following and thank you all for joining and asking excellent questions. We're going to focus a little bit more on entry level books starting next week. I just got to find them. And yep. Yeah. And we'll definitely set that all up. But in the meantime, stay safe out there.